Hello and welcome to our relaunch of Season 3 of David's Divergent Discussions. You may be confused by this as we were live last week. In fact, it wasn't even a week ago. I think it was Thursday. That was a bonus episode, I promise. So this one right here, this is the launch, yeah? So imagine this is the first episode, but I don't do things in order.
I hadn't even thought about that. I hadn't even thought about that. I was like, oh yeah, it's nice that he's back. Oh no.
So, anyway, today we're gonna do some rounding up of 2023, albeit at the beginning of 2024, but I suppose that makes sense. And we're gonna look at what might happen in 2024. I don't have any predictions because I'm really bad at that sort of thing. Or at least I'm really bad at predicting things that make sense in reality. I would quite like to see Dachshunds that could fly. But we'll see. Anyway, we'll start with a brief audio description before I talk absolute nonsense. So I'm David Gray Hammond. I'm a white Mediterranean 30-something male presenting person with a beard, lip ring, thick-rimmed glasses, and a ear tunnel thing, in a blue shirt, in a blue room, away from the famously rickety bookcase that I still mention, even though it hasn't been there for a couple of months now.
Where is it now?
It's there.
Oh, it's collapsed.
It's ready to fall on anyone who comes through my door.
Oh, so it's like security now.
Yeah.
Well,
make use of what's around you. I can't afford sentry turrets, so I use the bookcase. Anyway, Katie, would you like to do a audio description?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Katie Munday. Use they them pronouns. I'm also known as autistic and living the dream. I am a large white person. You can see from the shoulder up. I'm wearing like a royal blue t-shirt. I'm under a fuzzy blanket, which is like brown and all like nice. I've got kind of short, messy hair, large round glasses, and I'm sat on a grey sofa in front of some green curtains. That's it. Not anything more exciting than that, I'm afraid.
I like that the fuzzy blanket got a mention because it gives me an excuse to talk about the fact that I recently discovered teddy bear fleece bed sheets. So I have a duvet that is made of teddy bear fleece, and the pillowcases are made of teddy bear fleece. You can even get matching sheets that are made of teddy bear fleece, but I thought that might get a bit over the top, like because I get pretty hot at night. But it is so comfortable.
Right now.
Yeah.
Teddy bear fleece. Is this what we're calling it?
Yeah, that's what it's called in the shop. So
there we are.
But anyway, back to the point. As always, you can join us in the comments. Please do weigh in with questions, comments, thoughts, answers to long-pondered existential threats, whatever you fancy, really. So, Katie, you have the list of...
I was just laughing because Aid just put in the comments that they are a pain to wash and dry, though. I'm assuming Aid also has some teddy bear fleece duvet covers.
Yeah. They are a pain to wash and dry, though.
Yes. Okay.
I don't think that far because I'd have to actually remember to put something in the washing machine for that to be a problem.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So I think we have a kind of plan.
Well, you have a plan. I just sort of turned up and hoped for the best.
Yeah, I know, and it's your thing.
I know. It's called outsourcing.
Hey,
okay.
Do you want to come over here and just like sort me out? Yes, I would. I thought like a good start to looking back on 2023 was to have a think about some books that came out last year. I know that you about 3 of them on my thing are your books. No, 2 of them. 3 of them on my thing are your books anyways, David. So I don't know if you want to start with... I think The New Normal...
The New Normal was actually the end of 2022. It published on November 2nd, 2022. But it really took off during 2023. So that was fun. And a lot of people wanted to have me on podcasts and stuff to talk about it. So that was a lot of fun. And people seem to like it. So I must have done something right with it. I think a treatise on chaos either came right at the end of 2022 or it might have been the very beginning of 2023. But I don't tend to. That was more of a exercise in just. I really wanted to publish something on that topic. It's only a short chat book. It's more of an essay than a book. But the one that I did publish last year was Unusual Medicine, Essays on Autistic Identity and Drug Addiction. And again, people seem to like it. I mean, I'm self-published, so I don't get loads and loads of sales. But the people who have bought it seem to really enjoy it. And I think up until my new book, which is releasing on Sunday, which we'll talk about later, so far across all of my books, I've sold about 2,000 copies, which I don't think is bad for a self-published author.
That's brilliant, mate. Yeah, and if you think they've only been out for a year as well, yeah, that's brilliant. That's fab. Yeah, I've read both. A Treatise of Chaos was supposed to come to me in the post at some point.
But it relied on David's organisation, yeah.
David, have you sent that book to me yet? David, have you sent that? So I'm going to assume it's good. I could just order one, but at this point, it's
principle, yeah.
It's a point.
It's a really good book. It's got dragons and everything. No,
I know. I could, yeah, and I will never know.
It doesn't have dragons, but it does have a phoenix on the front cover because I like phoenixes. Phoenixes. I don't know what the plural of that word. Phenai, yeah.
Oh, Google it. Somebody Google it, please. Yeah, they were just both brilliant. Unusual Medicine I particularly liked. You know, you and I have a history of substance use, so
yeah.
But I don't think you necessarily have to be autistic and have that experience to get something out of the book. I think even if you have like autistic loved ones in your life, or you're a professional or anything like that, whether in mental health services or substance use services or just any kind of support work with autistic people, because unfortunately autistic people, and especially autistic ADHDers, we're pretty prone to getting involved in kind of substance use and self-medication. So
yeah, and I sort of wrote it not specifically for other substance users, although they are a large part of who it's aimed at. But I looked around and I really am only aware of a couple of other books on autism and addiction in particular. And they're quite outdated books. Like the first one I'm thinking of, I won't name. It was fantastic in its time, but when you look back on it, it's had its day. The language used in it wouldn't necessarily be great now. It's a function of its era. You know, it's the earlier days of the neurodiversity movement. But the second one was slightly more contemporary, but they sure did quote Autism Speaks a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that was on quite a big publisher for autistic authors, and I was like, wow. This is not what I expected. So I was like, cool, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that connects to your survey, which I'm also going to assume was last year, but I may be wrong with that as well.
The survey was last year. The stuff that follows it hopefully will be this year if we remember, because we have so much going on trying to get anything published.
I'm doing pretty well on my part. So for anyone who doesn't know, David did a survey last year which had about 500 respondents.
Yeah.
And that was about autistic people's experience in substance use and substance use services, and basically what can be improved for that. And we're now writing up what I'm writing. Maybe Tanya and maybe Chris, who are also part of the team, are also writing things up. David,
Tanya and I are supposed to be writing up together, but it hasn't quite happened yet.
Yeah. So hopefully stuff will come out on that. But like some real amazing stuff. I did all the qualitative analysis for it, which took some time because there was a lot of people there, but some real kind of quite harrowing stuff. not necessarily a surprise to me, and probably not to you as well, David, but like these are the kind of stories that really need to be out there so people can actually understand this is where we're at with being undiagnosed, with being misdiagnosed, with being neglected, abused, unhoused, etc., etc. This is why so many of us self-medicate.
Yeah.
So yeah. What else came out last year? Neurodiversity. What's that? By Nadine Arthur. Hopefully, I've got a link for that. That was a children's book. In fact, there's been a lot of really good autistic affirming children's books came out last year. So yeah, that was a lovely. I've got a little link for that. Hopefully, really good book and autistic writer. So we like to share other autistic writers. Just sent the link there. And I haven't got a copy of it yet, and I need to right this heinous wrong. But Empire of Normality by Robert Chapman also came out last year. I
Yes,
believe that you've been reading that, David.
I have. I'm not super far into it, but I'm a couple of chapters in, and I'm already blown away. I mean, I think people know how much I loved Neuroqueer Heresies by Nick Walker. Well, Empire of Normality might be my favorite book since that was written.
Ooh, big words. Yeah. I'm trying to think. They are a philosophy academic. Is that correct?
I want to say so. I know that they've been one of Tanya's lecturers.
It's classic. So not for Sheffield Hallam person. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that. I think Aid's actually reading that as well at the moment. Yeah, so that's, I don't know if you want to add any more books to that. I know there's been quite a few children's books, which has been brilliant. Can you think of any more that are?
There was a book written, it was published at the end of last year, and it was by a therapist who I follow, and for the life of me, my mind is blanking.
Is it I Am the Rainbow?
No, not that one. It was by the Therautist on Facebook, I think.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about I Am the Rainbow and the Rainbow is Me, which is by Alice McSweeney. So, and I think she's just doing another one as well. So good, so exciting stuff. Like
I
more
think
of that.
one of the big takeaways from talking about the books is that there are a lot of really good books being published by neurodivergent authors in the last couple of years. You know, I would say since the pandemic, really, I guess being locked in our houses for long periods of time meant we ended up doing a lot of writing. But in the last sort of 2-3 years, there's been like a bit of a boom in books by autistic and neurodivergent authors, and some of them are absolute gems. It's really needed, you know, and it's really important that these stories are getting out there. And Patricia said something very nice about my book, Unusual Medicine. I'm an ND trauma therapist, and reading it has actually helped me a lot to understand certain things about addiction and the autistic mind.
Fabulous.
So thank you for that. But so yeah, that was books. We could have potentially had more books on that list, but there has been so many. We could have done like an entire live just on the books in the past.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, maybe that's a thing to do at some point this year. Actually, that'd be quite nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Maybe we should finish writing those chapters first.
Look, don't come at me. Anyway, so we're talking about TV and film next. Two of my kind of big favorite. I don't watch an awful lot of TV. I have a 2-year-old at home, so we watch a lot of Monsters Inc. over and over again. But what I did enjoy this year, and I think David, you saw this as well, was Inside Our Autistic Minds.
Yes, I was very pleasantly surprised by that because quite often these mainstream documentary style things completely miss the mark. And I was quite impressed with how Chris Packham did that documentary. I thought it was good. It was good to see non-speaker representation in there as well. That's a group of people who often get ignored. Yeah, I was really quite pleased with that documentary, and I think that was a nice comeback for Chris Packham after the whole S10K debacle.
Yeah, which we will talk about in a minute. Yeah, I think what I wanted to share on that, again, I really enjoyed it as well. And again, bit wary. Whenever anyone says, "Oh, there's a," and they'll always call it an autism documentary, not an autistic people's documentary. I just think, oh my god, what is this? This is going to be terrible. But obviously, we know Chris Packham's autistic. Everyone he spoke to is autistic. Yeah, there was can't remember his name now, but there was a young black man on there, and he was doing a lot of so they basically did, for anyone who didn't watch it, they were talking about their autistic experiences, kind of getting diagnosed, how they feel about college, how they feel about music, all different things to do with their lives as well. One of them was really massive into football and really into his timings, and if he missed the time for the bus, like he wouldn't be able to go to work and all of this kind of thing. So they were talking about basically whatever they wanted to talk about. One of them was a comedian as well, I know. And the young man did like a rap video for did a rap song, didn't he, for his presentation, which was fantastic. But one of my favorite things that was said in there was by Murray, who was a non-speaking person, and he said, each of us non-speaking people is a star in the atmosphere waiting to be discovered and named.
Yeah.
Oh, cried my eyes out. Amazing. Fabulous.
I don't know if we've got this one on the list. Did anyone see the updated version of Heartbreak High? Obviously that was it Chloe Hayden? Am I getting that right?
Oh, yes, I did.
Because that was quite a big moment, you know, an autistic actor playing an autistic character.
Yeah, and a lot of queer representation, a lot of black representation, a lot of people of color on there as well. Yeah, in fact, yeah, she was fantastic on there actually as well. Yeah, did you watch any of that, David?
I started watching it, but then I forgot I was watching it. I do this a lot. I start series and then forget that I'm watching it.
Yes.
And then like 6 months later, I'm like, oh, I'm like halfway through it now. I'm gonna have to restart this season to know what the hell's going on. And then, of course, halfway through the season, I forget again. So the story is, I very rarely finish watching anything.
Yeah. Yeah, Heartbreak High. God, yeah, that was good. Yeah, a lot of queer people in it as well, which I'm massively here for. Yeah, and I don't know if you saw Christine McGuinness's Unmasking My Autism.
I did not. I remember hearing about it, but I don't remember. I don't think I've watched it. No,
I don't think you've watched it. It was very good. Again, I was surprised by that. I don't know Christine McGuinness. It's but you know, just was pleasantly surprised by things. There was a lot of kind of really, because she was talking about obviously her experience being a late diagnosed autistic woman, and she didn't talk much about her children, who I both believe are autistic as well. It was very much about her own kind of journey to understanding her neurology, and it was really nice because
I was going to say I kind of respect that though, because you know the story of her children isn't necessarily hers to share on a massive public platform, so just keeping it to herself, it's kind of respectable.
Yeah,
because there are so many, you know, let's face it, we've all come across those parents who will post videos of their kids having meltdowns to social media. You know, I feel that even for children, they should be in control of what of them is online.
Yeah, 100%.
Not even more so than adults, actually.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I never use little man's real name or anything like that, or put pictures up of him.
So. Yeah, the only time there's ever been a picture of my little man online, I covered his face with an emoji.
Yeah, Yeah, so it's, yeah,
So
it's,
everyone
I don't know,
thinks you
it's
look
so
like
weird
this.
because we didn't grow, oh, you and I are the same age, aren't we? So like we had MySpace and dial-up internet, and Messenger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
from like
They had
13,
those
14.
weird. Don't know if you ever found them. The things online where people exchange their MSN details. Looking back, it was basically dial-up predator, but like you could just swap MSN details with random people on the internet. And looking back, I'm like, I can't believe I did that. How am I still
God.
alive?
Yeah. Creepy. I've totally forgot what we were talking about. The internet, something. Oh yeah, just about so yeah, Christine McGuinness, and just she shared a lot of information. She was sexually abused as a child, or as a teenager. She just shared a lot of stuff that I just think would hit home for me, but other gender minorities and women as well, and girls, I have no doubt. So and she went and spoke to different autistic girls as well, not quite as diverse as Inside Our Autistic Minds, but I think it was only one episode as opposed to two. But yeah, very enlightening and actually quite well done, I think. And there was quite a large section on like vulnerability to kind of domestic abuse and sexual violence and stuff as well, which was hard to watch, but
It's
like
needed though. It's really
exceedingly
needed.
necessary for people to know that is a thing for autistic people.
And actually, just circling back for a second, something I forgot to bring up for Inside Our Autistic Mind. Documentary was great. Resources associated with said documentary were not so great. The ones done by the Open University, and I know there were people involved who tried to have those resources changed, but unfortunately they got a lot of pushback from people in charge, which meant that the resources didn't get changed. So if you do come across the resources associated with Inside Our Autistic Mind, just be aware that they're quite pathologizing and, in my opinion, not very good. But it was by the Open University. I don't think they're renowned for having a great position on things like autistic rights. I've heard rumors, but that's all I've heard is rumors. But yeah, it was a shame that the resources didn't match the caliber of the documentary itself.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that. Actually, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Do we think TV, film, music wasn't out last year, was it? That load of old shit. That wasn't last year. I think that was a year before, wasn't it?
See, last year I discovered a new autistic coded character, which will be hit and miss whether people like them. So it's got Alan Tudyk who plays
Yes.
Wash, and it's got a program called Resident Alien, and Alan Tudyk plays Harry van der Spiegel, or an alien pretending to be Harry van der Spiegel. Yeah, it's really good, and the alien character is clearly autistic coded. Some people might not like that it's an alien that is autistic coded, but actually I watch it and I'm like, I really relate to this alien so much. And that was really good. And season 3 actually comes out in the next couple of months, I think. So
what's that called?
Resident Alien.
Resident Alien. Okay, I like Alan Tudyk's. Yeah,
he's a good actor. So make of it what you will. Some people will like him being an alien, others won't, because I know there is a question over whether we should have non-human characters playing clearly autistic characters. But overall, I was very impressed with it, and I think largely I looked beyond it because it was so relatable.
Yeah, we seem to have that problem with like non-binary characters as well. Non-binary characters always happen to be like fae or alien or elemental or something like that. So
yeah, although did I send you I think I might. No, I'm not sure if I sent you the video. I was watching a TikTok video on the history of non-binary, and it can be traced back to Mesopotamia. So we're talking like 4000 BC. Like, so all these people who are like, yeah, well, we didn't have this when I was going, shut up. It's been around for like 6,000 years.
Yeah.
Like,
It's colonization for you, David.
yeah.
Who knew?
But even the Europeans had it for like a few hundred years. They just decided not to have it anymore and tell everyone it never existed. So yeah, it's weird when you see this, when you've got all this really weird representation of certain minority groups. And you're like, but these minority groups have existed for so long, and you still haven't worked out a respectable way of talking about them.
Yeah, and it will be because I was watching. Sorry, this is going off and something totally different now. But have you seen Elemental? The I'm going to assume it's Disney. Jay's nodding. So yeah, it's very cute, and the character in that, obviously they're all elements, and one of the characters in that is basically not coded as, but is a non-binary lesbian.
Okay.
But they are a very minute character that if you weren't picking out they them pronouns, you would completely and utterly miss that.
Yeah.
But they still come across as a queer couple, if you see what I mean. But
yeah,
obviously they're all like water people and stuff like that. So sorry, I just thought I'd put that in there as well.
That's cool to know.
Yeah.
So what have we got next on the list?
We've got activism, but actually I thought we'd better talk about the autism strategy at some point. Not that there's much to say about it. But last year, the autism strategy came into effect, meaning not very much. But the UK government decided that it was high tide. There's a high prevalence, obviously the word used, prevalence, of autism. There's a high prevalence of autism. Not finally all these autistic people are actually getting a diagnosis and a name and a resource and a reason for why they are who they are. They have community now and anything else like that. No, there's a high prevalence of autism, right? So the government have come up with a 5-year plan on how to support autistic people, right? I have not read the report because I cannot be dealing with reading a load of old guff that nobody's going to do anything about. But these are the 5 commitments that the UK government have set up for the next 5 years now. Right, improving regional pathways of care. Working in partnership to ensure autistic people are supported and understood throughout their education. I don't know if we want to unpick this as we go, or do we just want to...
Let's just list it.
Yeah, let's list it, and then we'll moan. Increasing understanding of autism in the workplace. The dreaded autism in the workplace.
Yeah.
Increasing understanding of the housing needs of autistic people. Promoting the development more widely of inclusive environments to support the needs of autistic people, their families and carers. So there we are.
I'm not really sure what metrics they're using to keep track of those goals, but I'm pretty sure they've gone backwards on a few of them.
Yeah. Also, how are you? That's a really good point. I was too busy focusing on the fact that it's complete and utter nonsense to think, well, how would you even...
Let's face it, we all know at this point that our current government does not really care for people. I would say disabled people, but it's just people at this point. If you're not a member of the governing body, they don't care about you. And that's it. And so I find a lot of these promises to be entirely performative, or they will measure them by metrics that can be easily massaged to look like successes whilst no meaningful change has actually happened.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing about improving care and stuff like that, well, you know I'm going to talk about this because what I always talk about, but like there are a lot of trans and gender diverse people who are autistic.
Yep.
Or autistic people who are trans and gender diverse, me being one of them. And there is so much gatekeeping to gender affirming care as it is anyways for just any person who wants to go through gender affirming care. And I'm not necessarily talking medical. It can also be talking therapies as well. It can be HRT. It can be more medical stuff like that. It can be puberty blockers. yeah, and just the wait times for most of the gender identity clinics now are about 7 years. And if you have a diagnosis of autism, actually any neurodivergence, especially with mental health and stuff like that, they basically just say, yeah, you need to go and work on your mental health first, and then you can come back to us.
Yeah,
Not understanding that your mental health, in most cases, improves so much with going through gender affirming care, even if that gender affirming care is just talking therapy, yeah, so that is a real stress for me about them talking about care.
yeah,
Also, I
and
do lots of cancer service inequity work as well, and we're doing stuff on kind of substance services, and it's just like,
yeah, and I
yeah,
wanted to bring that up because we still have this problem with substance use services and mental health services. If you fall into dual diagnosis, so you belong to both services, they will just keep batting you back and forth until you fall through the gap. We can't help your substance use until your mental health is sorted. We can't help your mental health until your substance use is sorted. And they will just keep doing that back and forth until, I mean, I'm going to be blunt, until you die. It's horrific. And when they're talking about improving care, I don't think they actually know or even care about these sorts of health inequalities that are going on in this country. The NHS is a wonderful thing, but it's been stripped down and privatized and run in such a way that it's almost inaccessible to huge swathes of minority groups.
100%, yeah. So I wonder if care there is healthcare, or whether it's supported living and kind of stuff like that. I
Yeah,
wonder.
well, definitely don't get me started on social care because we don't have time for that.
No, there's a whole different thing by itself as well. And when we were talking, oh no, we weren't talking. I've just mistaken Autism Speaks for National Autistic Society.
That says everything.
It's a Freudian slip. Yeah, with obviously the ongoing issues with the National Autistic Society's care homes, where there's been abuse, neglect, various other really horrendous things going on in
Yeah,
some
I
of their
just
care
wonder
homes.
how many care home scandals they have to have before the charity commission say, like, what you doing?
Probably take
Like,
the piss now, mate.
yeah.
Like, yeah, it's yeah, really, really hideous. Yeah, and education, as we know. I know we've been talking about this in your Discord, David, about another government initiative about getting medical professionals, GPs, particularly general practitioners, involved in kind of nudging autistic children and other children who don't go to school, kind of nudging the families to say, oh, it improves health and it improves this and it improves that. That's a relatively new thing, isn't it? So
Yeah, there seems to be this new thing of, oh, like we need, the best place for school for kids is school. No, like I will say this very openly. I work with a lot of kids who have experienced a great deal of school trauma. And when you have got kids under the age of 10 expressing suicidal thoughts because of school, that does not make me go, oh, well, we need to get them back in school quick. Like it is, there's clearly an agenda there. There is some metric they feel they need to meet, and they're more concerned with meeting that metric than they are with the well-being of the people it actually affects.
Yeah, 100%.
And let's be honest, when you've got your child is suffering, the whole family suffers. Because it's not like everyone else just goes about their day all happy and jolly, like, oh, don't mind little Johnny, he's just, writing his suicide note. Like, it's really upsetting. It's really, really upsetting for the whole family. So this push to get kids back into school, I see it having even bigger impact than just the kids forced to go back to school when they're not able to. It's whole families that are going to suffer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so that's 2 bullet points from that commitment list that is just complete nonsense. But I will be keeping a close eye on the autism strategy and what that means for all of us, which probably won't be much of anything really. I mean,
And
we've already brought up
right, Patricia says it's all about percentages, statistics, and not about the individual kid.
100%, 100%. Schools, colleges, universities, they all have a business plan,
Yeah.
and students will fit into that business plan. Give me bums and seats, money, 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 and that's it. Yeah.
Anyway, to summarize, eat the rich, and the next point.
Well, we spoke about Spectrum 10K. You spoke about Chris Packham earlier. So I thought that might be good.
Yeah, Spectrum 10K. That is the. I just wish it would go away now. Like it's kind of like, you know, when you're trying to sleep and there's a fly in your room, and it's just buzzing around you constantly, and no matter what you do, it just won't go away, and you keep trying to off it, but it won't. You can't catch it. I feel like that's what Spectrum 10K is at this point. Like, we all know that it's annoying and harmful, and we don't want it around, and we want it to stop and go away, but there's literally nothing we can do to get it to go away at this point.
But the fly is also venomous.
Yeah, very venomous. Like, so venomous that, you know, it's just awful. Like, it. I don't know. I'm running out of words at the moment for Spectrum 10K. So I don't know if you want to weigh in here.
Yeah. I think you and I have both written quite a bit on that in 2023, even though it started in, I believe, 2022. Although it did have a pause, did have a little pause for a little second. So, yeah, I think the biggest issue with it last year, but I'm sure there will be a bigger one this year, is with Spectrum 10K. So, for people who don't know, Spectrum 10K is funded by the Wellcome Trust. It is coming out of Oxford's Autism Research Centre, headed up by Simon Baron-Cohen and a lot of other people who have been based in cure-based work, like autism, Cure Autism Now, and various other things like that. The funding is iffy. The people who are doing it are iffy. The ethics is exceedingly iffy. Between me, David, and everyone else at Boycott Spectrum 10K, like, you'll be able to read into that as much as you want to. And basically, the kind of the foundation of it is that it's eugenics-based work, because they're collecting 10,000 autistic people's DNA, medical histories, so complete medical histories, DNA, and also I believe like a survey as well, like an open-ended question survey. That's an amazing amount of information to have about one person, especially if that person is vulnerable, especially if that person is in the prison system or the care system and can have people do that on their behalf, would consider to not have mental capacity. So what people might call autistic learning disability, or people with more complex needs. People can do it on their behalf. And it's completely and utterly horrifying.
Yeah.
And I think the big, it wasn't a shocker because I wasn't surprised, but it was still terrible, is that having denied it's not eugenics, we're not into that, we just want to give autistic people better life well-being, whatever. Okay, improve everything, that would be brilliant. Like, please do something with the millions of pounds that you've just been given, as opposed to just fannying about with DNA. Is that the Oxford Autism Research Centre is now doing, it started in, I believe it was May last year, an amniocentesis focus group. And basically that's about, do people want to be able to test their fetus for autism? I mean, goodness knows how you do that
There
anyway.
was also some other weird, gross stuff about that. They were looking at hormone levels, I think, because they're still harping on the old extreme male brain thing, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about the extreme male brain. So yeah, and there's basically talks about, would you want to be able to know? Obviously, a lot of people don't experience amniocentesis anyways. It's when you they're particularly concerned about the health of the fetus that they'll do that. So that only affects about 5% of people. But an interesting thing to be really like pinpoint on. We're not doing eugenics, but if you could abort an autistic child, would you do it? And that's not me sitting here saying anything about anyone's abortion rights, body rights, family planning, anything like that. People do what they need to do. It's it's the audacity of saying we're not into eugenics. But how do you feel about if we were?
Yeah, it's kind of like when you make a joke about doing something awful just to gauge how everyone reacts to see if you could get away with it. You know, um, it's um, it's not great. And Naya Credible here says, how can they possibly even believe the way a nervous system has developed or even come into being can be cured? This is the point. Like, I think at this point they have realized they can't actually change it once the autistic person is already here. So they're just trying to stop the autistic person from being here.
Mm,
That's the impression I get. And let me just really, make this clear. Spectrum 10K has burnt out a lot of the major players in the sort of UK autistic activist circles.
mm,
So many of us, myself included, have been through long and protracted burnouts because of fighting this study. They had £3 million in funding. We fought very hard as a collective, and at best, we delayed them. And we always knew that was probably going to be the outcome. But the hope is that by making enough of a noise about this now, other researchers might think twice about it in the future.
yeah, 100%. I think I don't want to belittle what everyone who was involved in everything, and I mean even just sharing things online or talking to your friends at work about, or whatever kind of small. I don't think anything advocacy wise is small, but anything like that, to stop a study for 6 months is no small feat. I
No,
don't
that was
that's
huge,
that's impressive stuff.
especially a study with a large amount of funding.
And the Wellcome Trust has been around for years. Simon Baron Cohen, for whatever goddamn reason, is knighted. So for people who are considered to have no power, little power, I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't agree with saying, "Oh, well, we only stopped it and it carried on," because
Maybe,
I
yeah.
think that's brilliant.
I think one thing we really did do very well is we showed that as a community we are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, 100%.
I was more alluding to the fact that those of us involved in the campaign, we knew from the get-go we were never going to be able to stop it, because that would have been like trying to stop a bus doing 100 miles an hour with
Yeah, I
like a
see.
feather duster.
Okay. Yeah.
They might have slowed down and put the brakes on for a bit to give us a chance to get out of the way, but but we didn't get out of the way. We're still annoying them, so
Yeah.
we'll keep doing it, because even if we don't stop it, collectively we are making it clear that we are not going to give people an easy time of doing this sort of thing to our community.
100%, 100%. And even, that, so for those who don't know, I work in youth work with mostly autistic and ADHD young people. And even just being able to talk to the families and to know that those particular young people weren't put in a vulnerable spot it's not great that anyone would be, but to be able to know that is again, no small thing, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I think I misunderstood you a bit there, David. But I think that it's the same thing with kind of, I don't know if we've got enough time to go into Stop the Shock, but that where over in the Judge Rutenberg Center in Boston in the US, mostly autistic young people who are in their care facility there,
Yeah,
are
people
being
keep using the word care, and I don't think they know what that word means.
getting electric shocks by kind of GEDs, which are small electrical devices that are usually stuck on their legs, for doing stuff like not taking their coat off
Or stimming,
or not doing eye contact. So it's just because I know that there's been ongoing protests against that. I think it went to trial this year, as I keep saying this year, 2023, and wasn't wasn't repealed. They can still use GEDs on their young people. So
I think there's everything about the way that autistic people, particularly those with more complex needs, are viewed by wider society that courts can allow that to continue. But with there's also been the other one we should probably talk about whilst we're on the topic of activism is the CAMS campaign, and it's not okay to not be okay, because they kind of go hand in hand. So the CAMS campaign, obviously I've been writing a lot for this, and this is where my new book has come from. It's about the fact that CAMS, Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services, have repeatedly failed thousands of autistic children, either by refusing to see them or completely mishandling them when they do see them. There's a petition with something like 208,000 signatures on it. It's wild. So many people who've been failed by them, and yeah, that's where my new books come from, which is CAMS in Crisis: Writings on the Failure of CAMS to Support Autistic People. Because, well, for me, I published this book because we need to try and get this out there more. It's no good just preaching to the choir, and obviously, having it in a book kind of felt a bit more. There's more chance of people finding a book on Amazon, I think, than there is someone coming across my blog, because most of the people who read my blog it's kind of like preaching to the converted. I love you all, but you're already on the same page as me for the most part. Or you're heading in that direction. But, having a book out there, that book can be shared with professionals. That book can be given to people. It's much, much easier. But, we're determined to make change. And obviously we've got Emma Dalmain's thank for this petition and this campaign, as with the It's Not Okay to Not Be Okay campaign. And, hopefully we'll see some change there, because autistic kids need mental health support. Why do you keep saying you won't support us for being autistic? And do you want to quickly go over the It's Not Okay to Not Be Okay campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to flag another comment that we've got. I honestly believe CAMS are failing the wider ND community too. Yeah.
I'll actually go a step further. I don't think it's even just the ND community at this point. I think, like a lot of mental health services in this country, obviously, minority groups tend to be the canaries in the coal mine, but these systems are under-resourced, underfunded, underskilled. They are not doing a good job, and we need change. And if we want to see real changes, we start with the way they are failing minority groups, because quite often what benefits a minority group will benefit everyone to some extent.
100%. Yeah, so the It's Not Okay to Not Be Okay, bit of a mouthful, campaign started a couple of days ago. We're using the hashtag "It's not okay to not be okay," and it's basically so Mental Health Awareness Day has been using this slogan for a long time of "It's okay to not be okay," which is supposed to be validating of mental health issues, but also. I mean, you and I have spoken about this before, anyways, David. Last year, maybe the year before, who knows when. But it's quite. It's like a get out of jail free card for mental health services.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's okay to not be okay. Fabulous. I'll just what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? Yeah, that's not going to help,
Have you considered talking about it? Yes, but that's not changing anything.
Yeah. Do you want to do CBT that you have to wait 2 years to do and is really bad for autistic people? No.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's all we offer. So, but if you could still go to work and still pay your bills and raise your children and go to uni and smile whilst you fucking do it, that would be brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, so I think that's because I think there's been a little bit of confusion around things for the last couple of days whilst we've been sharing stuff. Is we're not talking about, David and I both have relatively intense mental health issues.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about the fact that that there is a inherent issue with people with mental health. It's the fact that, speaking personally, it is a symptom for me. Like, it is a trauma-based symptom around neglect and abuse and substance use, which was also, I don't know if I want to necessarily call it a symptom, but definitely some kind of medicinal outage for me at one point. So these things come from somewhere, and they're not the individual person's fault. So that's what we're getting at. We're getting at the systems that create someone such as me, and when I was having my substance use issues, like as an undiagnosed autistic person who was on medication for God knows what kind of mental health issues, having all sorts of different physical issues as well, without having a diagnosis for them as well, and getting myself in all sorts of trouble, criminal wise and various other things as well, and then going, yeah, but it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. And
oh, brilliant! Oh, fantastic! I'm really pleased that
credible.
it's okay for me to be treated like shit.
Yeah. And Naya Credible adds, it's such a wolf in sheep's clothing, it almost invalidates trauma while pretending to acknowledge it. And since you mentioned therapy, Jenny says, I've tried 2 rounds of CBT. I'm too much of a muddle, apparently. I would hazard a guess that is something that a lot of autistic and neurodivergent people have been told, because I know I have been.
I'm too much of a muddle. So it's your fault that the therapy doesn't work.
Oh, yeah. No, they
amazing. Oh, fabulous. Excellent.
Yeah.
So now what? So now what are we going to do about it?
Well, I come to you because I feel broken and you tell me I'm too broken to be fixed. Cheers.
Brilliant. Crack out the crazy glue. Do you know what I mean? Piece me back together, bitch.
In other news, my store is now selling mental duct tape. Because duct tape fixes everything.
Oh, God. I can't believe someone said that to you. That's so dreadful. I mean, I can believe it, but also, you're not trying hard enough. I've been told that in mental health spaces.
Oh, yeah.
You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
You're not trying hard.
You're not engaging. What am I supposed to
Oh, literally. Oh. If you make it worth my time, I'll engage in stuff. If you make it appropriate and accessible, yeah, let's do it. But not a one size fits all, which means it fits fucking nobody. And it's CBT, so it's just you pretending that you're okay whilst you're out and about, basically involving yourself in consumerism. Like, ugh. Hate CBT. Meh. Sorry.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Basically, the "It's not okay, it's not be okay" campaign is think of a polite way of saying this. We are putting the systems, we're holding them to account. The systems are being held to account because the institutions that are supposed to help us do not. CAMS was the most obvious one, but now we're extending it and we're going to go after all of them. So, autism professionals, we're watching you.
Dun dun dun. Yeah, and also like that tag should be used by anyone at any point. Like, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it
used
doesn't have to be us using this tag.
No,
Like,
100%.
please go use the tag. Use it everywhere. Use it liberally. Paint it on your front door. Scratch it into your enemy's car.
Send a letter to your grandmother. Yeah, no, that'd be good, because I can't remember who was saying about it the other day, and they were talking about. Oh, I think it was our friend Helen from Autistic Realms was talking about specifically about what we were talking about with the general practitioners getting involved in kind of nudging children back into school. And I just said, just write something about it. Use the hashtag, please. Like, I know we will probably write something about that too, but like, yeah, don't feel like the hashtag belongs to anyone in particular. Just go for it.
I really want to ask GPs if they have realised yet that they are being used as like tools by our government to kind of just, because like GPs aren't allowed to write fit notes anymore if the government says you're fit for work, and GPs have to nudge kids back into school, and GPs have, like, at what point do they just admit that they basically become agents of the government? That's not what healthcare is for. Like, it's not to meet the government's agenda.
Yeah, but it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a whole nother podcast in itself.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. I've got plenty of ideas to keep this going. So,
I wonder, did anyone share anything? I'm not very good with keeping up with comments whilst we're chatting as well. Did anyone share anything?
Nia Credible would like 6 rolls of my mental duct tape.
Excellent.
So that's good.
So the Cam's crisis book now comes with a roll of, what was it called? Mental breakdown tape.
No, mental duct tape.
Mental duct tape. Yeah, that's it.
The duct tape fixes everything.
It's just a tape with your face on it.
Yeah, it's just lots of my face on it in a strip. There's going to be people walking around with my face just plastered all over their head.
Yeah, that's it. It's not psychosis at all. All real. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, did anyone kind of want to add anything? I know we've had a few comments today, but because I feel like this has been like a little.
Anyone in the comment section got anything to add here? Have we missed anything from 2023? Is there anything you're looking forward to in 2024? Reach out, let us know.
Can I add? I want to add 2 of my own personal good news stories, if I may.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. So I published my first peer-reviewed journal article in 2023.
Yes, you did.
On surprising absolutely nobody. It was on the experiences of autistic people trying to access gender identity healthcare. I'm going to put the link up there. It is free to access because we don't like paywalls on peer-reviewed stuff. Not into it. So if anyone wants to read that, absolutely, please do. I think actually quite, because it was published in Autism and Adulthood in their LGBTQIA+ special edition. Yes, but special edition. Yeah. Oh god, words. And I think quite a lot of the stuff in there is free. So, ooh, yeah, some really good stuff in there. And also, I went to the Houses of Parliament last year. Little old me in the Houses of Parliament. They let me in and everything. So
Because you left your fireworks at home.
no fireworks, no fireworks. Yeah, so went there to the all-party parliamentary group on cancer to talk about the cancer services and equity work I've been doing with Rosie Tansley and others at Help and Care, Macmillan, and like 5 million other charities connected to it. Yeah, it was really fantastic. And talking about disabled people's experiences of cancer services, anywhere from kind of like information you might find on the internet to going to support groups, going for screening, being diagnosed, going through care, chemo, anything like that to kind of support after your treatment and stuff. And yeah, it was really amazing to be able to share the participants. We had stories there, so hopefully we've done some good with that there. Hopefully, so. And there was lots of talk from Stuart from Outpatients, which is an LGBTQIA plus cancer service charity. It was the only one in the UK. Yeah, and they were talking about specifically trans people's issues with accessing cancer services as well. So yeah, just a really interesting event. I just wanted to. I couldn't talk about 2023 and not talk about that. So that was fantastic.
Okay, well, sounds really good, and yeah, I'm interested to see the overall outcome of the cancer research stuff, because I suspect like access to anything else, it's just not it's just not accessible. I'd be interested to see if cancer services have any better accessibility than any other service that exists, because my guess is no.
You're not going to be surprised by the answer. In fact, if anyone is interested, I've got a link for that as well. Do I? Where? Here we go. Yeah, and we're carrying on with that, and we just got funding to start that. I was going to say again in January. We are in January. Hello, welcome to 2024. It's still taken me a while to get my head into this year and not be, I don't know what year I'm talking about anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we've just got funding to do another year's worth of work, and that's going to be doing like resources and training with NHS and other healthcare professionals. So it's, come on, let's do it.
A lot of these links for the people who are listening on a podcast, you can access by going to autisticeltd.co.uk. It's quite an easy website to navigate. I know Katie's done a good job with it. Arguably a better job than I was doing for like a year, where I had like 1 million pages and everyone was messaging me like, David, where the hell do I start on this website? And I was like, you've just walked into my brain. Like, I neatened it up though now on my website, so you know.
Yeah, it's good. It does look good. It does look good. Yeah, I've got. Yeah, you can't say that I've done a good job on my website. I write all the stuff on my website, but Jay, the husband,
Okay,
does all the stuff for the
Katie's
website.
husband does wonderful things on the website. You do the writing. Jay does the making sure it's acceptable.
The techie.
Yeah.
The Katie's not going to throw the laptop out of the window.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, have we covered everything? Is that are we done? Is there more to talk about?
I don't know. Is that yeah? No, I don't know. We could go on for hours, so it needs to stop at some point.
It does. It does. Well,
what do you think? Did we like 2023, David, from your own personal perspective? Was it a good one?
2023 was great for me on a personal level, but like a lot of the years, it's not been great for communities I'm a part of in general. I think, I had wonderful things like, 2023 was my first full year of having my son here. But it was also a year where minority groups, particularly trans and trans plus groups, experienced a great deal of discrimination and hatred. So it's difficult to say. Like, I want to say it was an amazing year because I had some amazing personal experiences, but I'm not happy with the way it went for marginalized groups.
100%. 100%.
And if I can hope for anything in 2024, it's so that we fight back, because that's what we got to do. We got to push back against all this.
100%. So we've got, it's not okay to not be okay. Anything else we've got going on this year, David? You've got your book's coming out on Sunday.
Oh yeah, I've got a book coming out, that as well. But no, yeah, I might buy a new webcam.
You've always got books coming out.
I don't plan my years.
I know you don't. I know.
I kind of just wander through them aimlessly and hope good stuff happens.
I'm into it. That's fantastic. What a good way to round it off.
Yeah, it's that whole those who wander
blindly into 2024 and hope for the best.
Those who wander are not always lost, except I am always lost.
Yeah, exactly. So there it is. And on that bombshell.
So yeah, thank you to everyone who's tuned in. As I mentioned earlier, you can pre-order my new book. There's a link on screen. If not, there are links all over my Facebook page and various social media at the moment, because I don't have a PR publication team or anything. So I just sort of hope people find my links. So I put them everywhere. I will put one in the description of this podcast for like Spotify and that. But yeah, it's CAMS in Crisis, writings on the failure of CAMS to support autistic people. Had to check that then. Almost forgot the title of my own book. It releases on the 14th of January, so this coming Sunday. It'll be paperback and Kindle. You can currently pre-order the Kindle version. Please get out there and pre-order, because the more pre-orders we get, the higher up the bestseller list we'll get. And to get CAMS failures onto the bestseller list would be perfect. Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Oh my goodness! I was like, oh, there's something else. Oh yeah, what's happening on the next David's Divergent Discussions?
We've got a person. Hang on, let me have a look. I left my calendar open this time, not on purpose.
Who we got?
I am on with Rachel Cullen talking about autistic people and inpatient treatment.
Ooh, good.
So that'll probably be reasonably difficult as a topic, because there are a lot of triggering things that come with that. But it's a needed topic, and I say that as someone who has been a psychiatric inpatient twice, and I don't count how many times I've been a physical health inpatient, because, well, who can keep track of that?
You ain't got time. Well, this year, like last year, I don't know. Like,
they do know me on a first name basis, but but to be fair, so does my psychiatrist. So
that's it. Someone's got to know you, David. Someone's got to be your friend.
Yeah. yeah. Look at all my friends in white coats.
Yeah. Right.
But Katie, thanks you've kind of been the host tonight, so thank you for hosting me whilst I host my podcast.
All right.
It's a good thing, actually, because the first ever David's Divergent Discussions was someone interviewing me about the new normal. So it's come full circle. It makes it sound like I do this on purpose, but I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. Thank you for coming on. It's been great as always. I think you're probably going to be on again soon for something. I don't know. I lose track of things.
22nd, I think it's you, me, and Priscilla, and we're talking
about
neuroanarchy and privilege.
Although it's just listed as neuroanarchy on the event because YouTube has a character limit.
Damn
YouTube. But right. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I'm going to let you all go before I ramble any longer. So take care, and I'll see you all next week. I'm also live on TikTok tomorrow night at, I want to say 7 p.m. It's around about that time. So if you're on TikTok tomorrow evening, come along to my live. Take care, everyone.
Ooh.